Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
The Polish Prince.
Yes.
All right.
Rob Chafe, Mad Calification. Quit talking over me,
Sorry.
Todd. We need a mute button for him.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. We got a very special one. This is a first for us. We've never had someone of who's controlling or irresponsible
Controlling the
for
music world.
so much. Yes. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir?
My name is John Mlynczak, since we're saying our Polish pronunciations here. I am president and CEO of NAMM, the National Association of Music Merchants. I don't know how much control I have, but that's my title.
Yeah. Now, everybody who's driving, just slowly release your grip a little bit. Wide eyes, I'm sure. We're really excited about this. We've talked about NAMM quite often, and it's going to be just so awesome to actually talk to someone who knows a little bit about it beyond what we do. So we are going to hear from him very soon. We have just one thing that we're going to announce, then we'll get into what's going on in our music worlds. We're very excited because we get to introduce a new pedal giveaway to one of our supporters. And this is the Cosmodio Pet Yeti.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yes. And this is going to Mr. Trevor Gunberg.
Trevor Gunberg.
Yes. He has been supporting our show for quite some time, and we could not be more thankful for that. Trevor, you're going to love this, and we'll have a little Instagram post about that too. So thank you to Cosmodio for giving this to us and providing this to give away, and thank you, Trevor. I hope you dig it. Tell us all about it. Before we get into what's going on in our music world, if you are, for some reason, not familiar with NAMM, you can go check that out online and see what's in store for this year. John, where can people go to do that?
NAMM.org.
NAMM.org. That's pretty simple. 2 M's, everybody. I don't know where NAM goes, and maybe we don't want to find out. I don't know. But Tony's trying to figure out how to work a telephone real quick.
I figured it out.
Okay, that's good.
I was putting on silent.
Call my mom if you have any problems.
That was pretty good, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Okay, so let's get going on what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to jump right in. Tony Baloney, a.k.a. Tanya Balansky, is going to lead off, and then we're going to hear from our friend John.
Yes. Well, Todd, as I sent you a link of this, I have been scouring the internets, specifically the YouTubes, and this is kind of an interesting thing, but a little bit scary as I dug into it a little bit deeper. So someone had posted a link to this. It's called The Led Zeppelins 2.
It is wild.
And it is as if Led Zeppelin 2, the album, was done in a 50s style.
Late 50s.
Yeah, late 50s.
Late 50s.
Not quite doo-wop, but yeah, early rock and roll.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. I mean, I have to admit.
I was surprised that it was actually like pretty listenable.
Now, as I started,
That's the bar.
as I started to dig around a little bit. Now, this same user on YouTube has also done one called The Black Sabbaths, where they did Paranoid, the album Paranoid, in a 50s style. They also did Kiss Destroyer.
Ooh.
It's called The Kisses.
Couldn't be any worse.
And they also did Deep Purple. Now,
That's a little bit more obscure. Yeah.
here is the scary part.
Okay.
So my
It's all
understanding
AI.
it is all
Jeez,
AI.
get out of here.
Now, I thought at first that, this is kind of cool.
That is really scary, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, it is. Yeah, you just have to check these out. The user on YouTube is named Mark Eve 76. So MARCEVE 76, and he or she has those 4 and probably some additional ones.
Wow.
And these just started popping up earlier this year.
Wow.
But yeah, it's frightening that by just plugging lyrics into probably GPT.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does your mom call it?
Yes.
That they came out with something, and it's remarkably good. Now the sound quality probably isn't quite there, but I guess if you're going for
it's pretty dang good, dude.
if you're at a 50s style music, I mean it's pretty remarkable. So I've been delving into all of those, driving my wife crazy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Check it out.
Well, John,
Let
I don't
us
know
know
if you
what you
can top the Led Zeppelin AI entire album, but what's going on in your music world this week?
Well, this week in my music world, let's see. Kendrick dropped his new album, so I've been working out to that in the morning. That's been keeping me energized and hopefully fit for the NAMM show in, I guess, 6 weeks at this point.
I can't translate into keeping me.
I just activated Siri, and I don't know what she's telling me to do, so she tried to translate something.
The robots are all coming together. Yeah.
I can't translate that.
How dare you? So, yes, you're working out to Kendrick.
Yep, the new album, and just right now it's all NAMM Show. I mean, we're 6 weeks away from something that takes about 18 months to plan, so you kind of know how that goes.
Man,
it's great though. Lots of artists coming in. Lots of we just made the Jack White announcement.
Yep.
We'll have some more announcements. It's all sort of embargoed because it's funny. Everyone wants to come to the NAMM Show and make these huge surprise announcements and make all this big media splash. So the hardest thing is I know all the artists that are going to be there, but I can't say them until because it's really the companies that have to make the splash. But it is a pretty ridiculous A-list lineup this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean,
That's
really ridiculous.
So I'll be there.
Well, absolutely. We'll put it on the app. A banner ad on the NAMM Show app.
It's going to be the very, very fine print.
Yes.
You need a magnifying glass to read.
Yeah. Rob, how about yourself?
Well, I got something. I haven't tried it yet because I haven't had a gig since I got this. But remember I was talking about baffles for my amp because everybody's complaining, too loud, and I'm side washing still too. So anyways, I got a Tone Shield version 3. That's the thing that Bonamassa uses.
Right.
Yeah.
And the old ones were like these wood planks, and they weren't very elegant or easy to right. The new one, it's a metal base that is two pieces that kind of like will fold from being parallel with each other to a 90 degrees, so you can set the angle of it.
Right.
And then the plexi piece is three pieces that are held together with these rubber straps, so it'll collapse and fit inside the stand. So it's very small, very simple to move, easy to put together, 2 seconds. So for a gigging musician, every second counts. But so I bought that, and it was like $100. So it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't ridiculously expensive. But I'm hopeful that this may solve not solve. What's the word I'm looking for?
Just use a
mitigate.
Just use a pod go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, it certainly makes JB sound a lot better. So.
Well, it's only going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, even if it doesn't make that much difference on stage with sound guys and bars, the appearance might be enough. You know how they're like, oh yeah, I put this up in front of me. Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Yeah. Side washing wasn't enough that you were 50 feet out straight, this amp's side, and you're saying whatever,
Yeah.
So
I gotcha.
So, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, give us an update on that.
Yep. It'll probably be 2-3 weeks from now before I use it. So
cool.
Good.
Todd?
Well, in previous episode, I talked about how I acquired a new AC30 through a really solid trade. And our good man Rob here went through it with a fine-tooth comb and fixed all the things that need fixing.
Yeah.
And I have a long list of
It was a few
things that you
things.
did. It's a few things.
It wasn't that bad.
But one of the oddball things is randomly the what is it? The tube, the rear screen. What would you call that? What would you call that?
The screen. Yeah,
Rear screen.
So on the back of AC30s, the newer ones, they're between the top panel and the bottom panel. It's almost all wood, except for one little slit that might be an inch long.
Yeah.
But then there's a grate that goes in right
I thought it was a screen.
or screen.
Is it a grill?
It's a grill. Yeah. Actually, it's probably called a vent, on their
How can there be 4 names for some?
bill of material.
Okay.
Well, no, it's probably actually called a vent. But
Okay.
but
It's the tube vent, essentially.
Yeah,
Right?
right, it's on the rear
And
panel.
that was oddly just missing.
gone.
It was gone.
Well, there were other things.
There
that
were some other things that were oddly missing.
as well. Somebody an end user thought it. I don't know. They probably saw something on YouTube and this, stops the sound waves from who knows.
Yeah. Well, so there is no actual stock replacement for that at all.
No.
At least to my knowledge. And I looked high and low. To get a piece of metal that fit that was actually oddly expensive.
How much?
$36.
What?
Yeah.
But what do you mean, yeah?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's just it's a piece of metal like 2 feet long and 6 feet tall.
Do you know
I mean,
this-
it's
6 feet. Well, Todd.
6 inches
Now
tall.
36 sounds like a
Do
deal.
you know the if you looked on the back of a full size Marshall, the metal?
Yeah.
Those things. Boy, when's the last time I ordered? It was probably 10 years ago that I ordered one. It was over $100.
Oh,
Wow.
So
Okay. Well, I called our friend John. He said, you should just go down to Home Depot or Lowe's or something, and they probably have something like that goes on like a screen door if
Yeah.
you damage it. And John, that was a great suggestion because it actually worked. Spray painted it black.
Yep.
Screwed it on. I'm like, if anybody opens up, they're going to say, what the heck is this? But
Of course,
it
not me,
worked.
John, right? We're talking about a different John.
Oh, no, you. Remember when you called me and said, hey, dude,
Yes,
don't
that
sweat
I
that.
recommended that you take a NAMM member's product and fix it with a screen door and a black spray paint.
Well-
are you? I'm trying to keep my job. You guys are killing me, bro. Yes, I definitely said do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I made that part up. Fine. Everybody, you got me.
This year's NAMM brought to you by Home Depot.
Yes.
Screen doors. And,
Yes. Anyway, so problem solved, and
Good.
hopefully it does the trick. Yes.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
yes, we have right about now is when we say, hey, you know what, Tony?
Yes?
If you have an amp that's missing a part,
Yes.
and you don't have something from Home Depot, what you can use is tour gear patch cables to connect your pedals together to distract you from the problem at hand.
I see the relation.
You see what I'm
there.
saying?
Yeah.
So forget about fixing that thing that needs fixing and just put some pedals together using tour gear design patch cables. Yeah. Load them up, put them in your cart, and use.
Where can you find those?
Those are at tourgeardesigns.com.
Oh, okay. That's smart that they were able to get
It
that.
is. Yeah, they were able to
very
lock that down.
convenient.
If you use the code the guitar knobs, you're going to save 15% on your order.
15%.
15%. So we need to say a huge thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring that. The 4 on the floor. And we got a little bit of a different one, this one, don't we, Tony? Go ahead.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3.
4 on the floor.
Now, normally in this segment, we talk about 4 must-have effects pedals.
Yes.
This week's a little bit different because we want to talk about 4 desert island discs.
Yes.
Now, imagine if you're stranded on a desert island, kind of like the gang from Gilligan's Island.
Yes.
You remember that show.
I do.
Hey, little buddy. Whenever they wanted to listen to the radio or play a record or even power up something else, the professor would hop on the bicycle and he
Or have
created...
Gilligan hop on it.
Well, yeah, I think they took turns. He would pedal, generate enough electricity to play these things.
Yes.
So, John, since you're alone on a desert island, you're going to have to pedal the bike yourself, unless you have, someone like Gilligan to help you out. What are your 4 desert island discs?
I'm only allowed to be on the island with Gilligan. Thanks, guys. All the cast members there. You really set this one up. You guys are trying to get me fired. You're trying to stick me with Gilligan.
Okay, we are saving you in a way.
I'm good.
Okay, well, let's just say
Go back to Gilligan. Go back to Gilligan. Go back to
Professor,
Gilligan.
I want the professor's intelligence. That's what I was
Yes,
trying to hear.
yes.
Okay, let's back to albums. So to me, it's like I would be sort of like losing my mind on a desert island. So I'd have like different moments of like, do I want to listen to jazz today or rock and roll or classical? So my head goes on like pick different genres. So when I get bored of something, I could just move to the next. I mean, anyone that's listened to another podcast, I'm a huge Queen fan, and I just love
nice.
Brian May so much. So you can pick a Queen album. I mean, Night at the Opera or any of the live albums, the Live Killers or something like that. Because you definitely want to listen to that. Other guitar things, I think for me too, like to balance out that one, I would definitely go, something Jimi Hendrix. I don't know what you just some other guitar focus, like just, you can't Electric Ladyland or something around that where like just something that really like screams that era of time, because it was just an incredible time in history and music. I definitely need something hip hop to round that out. I don't know what that would be. Not very guitar heavy music, but maybe a Lil Wayne or something. Maybe like early Eminem, like Marshall Mathers LP2 or Carter 4 on Lil Wayne. Something just to like break up the rock and roll piece. And then I guess my fourth would be, I don't know. I grew up as a classical musician, so something classical just to kind of set those long sunsets on the island, maybe to calm at the end of the day when you're wondering if you're going to have food or shelter the next day. So maybe something Bach, St. Matthew's Passion, or a Brahms symphony. That'd probably be my four, just so I can, depend on what mood I am, I could listen to some music.
Nice.
Now, here's the bad news. All four of those albums have now been put into ChatGPT.
Oh, jeez.
And they're 50s versions.
I hope they're doo-wop. Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
I certainly hope it's doo-wop. In fact, there's a lot of stuff going around now of like Christmas songs, but like with different lyrics. It's kind of like a little AI fun thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Well, that's cool. Well, that's good.
That's a nice little shift on our four on the floor.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we're going to take this moment to shift over to the whole reason that we're talking with John today. So, John, you have the grand responsibility of putting together the largest gathering of everything music. I don't even know how to qualify that.
Why don't we just call them musical merchants?
Well, yes, but it goes beyond that. It's beyond that.
We should copyright that.
Yeah. See if it's available.
Our trademark is up to date. Stay away.
And you obviously have something really big, as you mentioned, coming right at you in just a few weeks. When you set out to do that this year, I think one of the things that we were really interested to have you on the show to learn about was the approach, especially coming off of so much turmoil in the world as of late, when we went through all the COVID stuff, and we had supply chain things, and there just seemed to be a big shift in attention and process, and anything imaginable seemed to get shifted, many things are still recovering from that in a slow way. But we'd like to give you the floor to tell us about what people can expect, what you have in store, and some of the considerations that you've taken for this year's show. And then we've got some questions that we would love to ask you.
I like it. No, thanks for the opportunity, guys. I really appreciate it here. You said it really well. I mean, the past 4 or 5 years have just been turmoil. In a lot of ways, the global pandemic accelerated problems that already exist, exposed problems that were either there and we didn't want to look at them, or we were hoping to not have to deal with them for the next 20 years, and maybe created new problems. So there's a big combination of things. When in the middle of all this, I took over my position of NAMM, last year, officially May 1st, being the fourth CEO in 76 years.
Wow.
Joe LaMonster from 2001 to 2023. So, here comes John right in the middle of everything else, in the middle of, I started right before the 23 April edition of the NAMM Show, and then right into January, and here we are. So, yeah, just setting all of that up. Our vision and where we're at is we, as NAMM, we represent the music products industry globally. Anyone who makes, manufactures, sells, teaches, and in a lot of ways uses professionally any product, whether that's software, hardware, accessories, lighting, staging, everything in between. And that's a huge ecosystem that powers every piece of music making that we see in the world. I mean, there's no music making without a product or an instrument or something recording it, or a mixer putting that out through speakers, making it louder. And it's a huge responsibility, and we take it very seriously. And so what the NAMM Show, the purpose of the NAMM Show is to gather that entire industry and help them all succeed. And, especially coming out of the past few years, our approach is absolutely that we need to build a NAMM Show. And as fast as innovations happen, as fast as the world is changing right now, every January, we need to build a NAMM Show that is absolutely representative of what the realities of our industry are right now, and maximizes the opportunities that every attendee is there to capitalize on. And that will look very different in 2025 than it did in 2019. And I hope it looks different in 2035. So our approach is not to be, okay, COVID's over, good old NAMM is back, run the 2020 playbook and hit repeat. That is, right. I mean, we're not doing that at all. We are reimagining every facet of this show and questioning everything. And there's a lot about it that works, and there's a lot of new that you'll see at the NAMM Show. And that's our approach every year. We're already looking, we already have ideas of how we want to do things differently in 2026. Which is great.
Wow. Rob?
I got a question. As you were explaining all that, my first thought was, what's your personal history, like your professional and personal history that brought you to this position? And
yeah, my back, I mean, I've been like that music kid since I was old enough to make a sound, playing guitar as a kid, did school band. I played, all the way through, played trumpet professionally. I taught music for a while. I've always been into like technology. I think one of my big opportunity in the industry was, as I was, performing and teaching and living that life out of college. I got a music ed degree. I got a master's in performance. I was, doing that whole thing and gigging all over New Orleans and Louisiana at that time. And I've always been invested in technology. And I was lucky enough to live through like, oh, we have cassettes. Oh, we have CDs now. I mean, the CD player was like just commercially available when I was like elementary, middle school, and then all of a sudden like CDs are gone. And like, I was kind of that cool age, I think a lot of us are, that we saw like, wait, we're doing what on Napster? Oh, that's not allowed. Okay, wait, my computer has 87 viruses now. Like,
yeah.
Like, Mom, get off the phone. I'm trying to get online. Mom, hang up. I'm trying to get on the internet. Nobody at a certain age knows what that means. But I was always invested like what technology was doing. And so like whether it was recording myself with a mini disc recorder, and then like I was the kid that like in college I was like, I like recording. So I got involved and like I had my little PreSonus 8-in FirePod, and I was using Cubase, and I was getting into all kinds of stuff because I just thought it was cool. And I ended up teaching a class on it. And at some point I thought it was cool to teach the students in my school how to record, which turned into them like, hey, that's record, like preamps are cool, bro. But like, can we make music with this software? This is really fun. And that was the time when like GarageBand was available on Macs. So it was like something easily you could just, you couldn't like, hey kid, here's a Pro Tools rig. Like that wasn't really feasible, but things became moving really fast. And so I was lucky enough to like always be on the edge of innovation. Started teaching music technology courses before it was even like an approved course. I remember the registrar of the school being like, John, we have a problem. Like, what's the problem? The state has rejected our annual curriculum because music technology is not an approved course in the state of Louisiana.
Wow.
So I went to the state, and the state departments of education, they roll out these things, they're called red tape, and they put it out like, and you have to climb through it for like 3 years to get anything done. So I did that, and I got it a little approved course. That was fun.
Awesome.
It's very cool.
And it landed me eventually, to see very NAMM thing. It landed me a job at PreSonus Audio. PreSonus had just started their software. They're on Studio One, about to release Studio One version 2. They had, about to take on the monitors, and they had this wild success on the first version of the Studio Live mixer, and they were looking to expand markets, and we just right place, right time. And I said, all right, I'm going to take a risk and go try to, help this audio company. We wrote curriculum. We worked with like SAE. We worked with Full Sail. We worked with Berkeley. We worked with like K-12 schools and everything in between. And it was cool to like really get a sense of the industry. And so then I worked at Hal Leonard on music education technology. So I've always been on the forefront of like, wow, there's something more possible with technology. Like this tool is threatening if we think it's going to take the job that existed yesterday, but it's really friggin' cool to think about what job could exist tomorrow with the power of this thing.
That's a very cool way of looking at it. And
Yeah, for sure.
Opportunities there. Yeah.
So you had a few qualifications, and then you got the job. Well, we're glad that you are at the helm right now. I think how you introed what we are expecting. I mean, what a great summary of where we've been, and I'm very hopeful for the future just based on those few words that you were able to share with us. In preparing 25 and as you said, moving on, to 26 and 27, et cetera, can you share some of the things that you sought out to try to make different or improve on or just shift?
Oh, absolutely. I think, first of all, the most important thing that happens at the NAMM Show is we create more demand for music products in 1 week that exists all year around. I mean, that's what we have to do. It is, the only global music product show, and it's really important that, we start with brand demand. Why do people exhibit? Why do people come? It's at its core, we are the music products industry, though in reality, it's all about the people. But we're focused there. So you think about like, what does that demand, how is that demand driven today versus 20 years ago?
Right.
And today we live in a world at which demand is driven, omni-channel. We'll use buzzwords out there. So, but demand for a musician, they're looking at like, what pedal do I need? What 12th or 13th or 67th guitar should I buy? Or what 5th amp should I buy? And when they're making those decisions, they're going, you mentioned earlier, I did internet research, i.e. YouTube. They're on YouTube looking at influencers, they're following people, they're looking at artists, they're reading blogs. Every brand out there is heavily invested in influencer, social strategy, content creation strategy. Retailers are out there investing in influencers and content creation. The level of customer service people expect is higher than ever because we have some major players in the industry that have set the bar so high on service, both online and in store.
Yeah.
And so, the focus is, that's what the reality of our industry is like. So the NAMM Show is about, we have a lot of new opportunities for influencers, content creators doing their thing at NAMM and finding their networks of the brands and retailers and artists that they need to connect with to help their careers, because more successful product influencers mean more successful music industry. So that's a big shift. You'll see influencers all over the place. We have a special lounge for them. You'll see a lot more companies investing in artists there to, like I mentioned, the amount of artists we have. It's about not just saying, hey, look, I have a booth. Look how pretty this is on the shelf. But it's about what does it sound like in the hands of a master musician. So just the brand experience aspect is huge, and it's causing us to have to really rethink the show. Wednesday we have a full day. The exhibits are open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we're putting on a 5-day event. The exhibits are all about seeing the products in the hall energy, but Tuesday, Wednesday, we've already gotten going with a whole global media day on Wednesday. Live announcements with major artists, product drops all day, media influencers doing things. We have big brands doing private events with their dealers all day long, connecting them with artist influencers. Same thing happening Tuesday. We have a lot of branding clinics. A lot of exhibitors, they don't get to participate in anything at the NAMM Show on Thursday, Friday, Saturday because they're working the booth. So we're pulling ahead some more education on Tuesday because we know that the need from the brands is, how do I get my brand out? How do I market in today's world? How do I use AI? Those type of things. So we're offering more education on Tuesday so more brands can participate in some of those aspects of NAMM they don't normally get.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's some of it. I think the big thing for us and strategically is I'm a big data person. So internally, we're sort of redoing all of our data infrastructure and segmentation, all of that fun stuff. But what we're creating is a NAMM machine that can not look at 80,000 attendees at a show, but how do we serve 80 1,000 person communities? That pedal specific community has very different needs than the live sound. They're the music educator, the classical guitar, or the flute, or any, whatever it is. We have all of these independent communities that really need to find each other. And we think of education, the way the hall is set up, the networking events. We look at everyone very specifically.
I love that approach. I think one of the things that we've talked about on our own show several times is that it's in some ways it's like two different shows happening at one time. The actual, the floor, the sales, the vendors, the connections, the music merchants side of it. And because music is a very much a shared passion kind of community, all the fans of gear, all the fans of artists and all that stuff, that's all in the same place. So you have everybody who has an interest and a passion for music wants to go and be amongst the things that they love, right? Mm-hmm. And meet the brands and just go deep into it. And at the same time, you have all the people who are there to, do the business. It's a strange amalgamation of wants, desires, and needs all in one space.
Well, and as John was describing, what's going on this year, I had thought, I've been to a NAMM for 20-ish years now, but I used to be a buyer for, music retailer, and that's why we went.
Yeah,
it was pre-internet or internet was just coming out. So like John talked about, one of the first days doing the product drops. Used to be you'd go and you would see a prototype or a demo that often wasn't even in production yet.
Not available, maybe May.
Yeah,
that's what NAMM used to stand for.
Maybe May. I mean, even likely the following NAMM. Oh, we just got these for Christmas last year. Yeah. And now, all the retailers have it ahead of time. So when it drops on Tuesday, Wednesday, and press releases start to go out, Sweetwater has it available.
Yeah.
And that was the reason we went, was like, oh, this is the new product. And it was the only way to be exposed to some brands. Because again, this was early internet. There was really almost no retail. I'm talking early, late 90s, early 2000s when I was doing retail.
Yeah.
And you made your purchase for the year at NAMM. We would go and we'd, place whatever $200,000, $100,000 with this company and this one and that one and plan out the whole year. Where now?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the point that I was trying to make, is that it's sort of almost like two shows in one. And John, it sounds like one of the things that you're at least recognizing or adjusting for is that dual purpose show.
Absolutely. During COVID, it's so interesting. Our industries, I mean, people, the more people you get in a decision, the more reactive it gets. During COVID, it was all trade shows are dead. I mean, this is industry wide. Like, trade shows are dead. We can do everything on Zoom. Why did I ever put on shoes to do anything in my life? and now it's shifted to like, oh wait, like we need to really have these relationships. This is really important that we have that FaceTime. Even though yes, we can do a product launch. If a product's ready in April, we'll launch a product in April. We'll launch a product in October. We have marketing collateral. We have videos. We have events, all the deal. So not everyone waits. That we have a major amount of product releases this January, but not everyone waits to January to release products. And it's not our job as the music industry serve it. I mean, we're a nonprofit association. We're here to serve the industry, not sell them a trade show. So like our job is to look at the industry and talk to the companies and say, if you could get everyone in this ecosystem together in one place, what does that mean to you? It means we need brand demand. We need to meet influencers. We need to be able to one place that we can set up shop and meet our influencers, engage our artists, connect with the right retailers, meet with our international distributors, meet with our suppliers. We need everything in one place. Mm-hmm. That's the value of what we have. And sure, there might be people placing orders. There might be people saying, yeah, I'll put the order in the portal in March. That's fine for us. But we do recognize at NAMM, to your point, that it's not all about 10, 15 years ago. You go as a buyer to see things that you couldn't see unless you went to California. Mm-hmm. So we have to we have to keep up. We have to innovate. And we also have to provide like really amazing education sessions, because most of the retailers and buyers are coming to meet with their suppliers, but they're coming to get education that they can't get anywhere else about how to help their business. We have a lot of tracks now for like studio engineers and live sound and other areas. We've kind of expanded to like every facet of the music products ecosystem.
Yeah. Tony.
So John, my first NAMM was 2000 in the last show at Staples Center in LA. And over the years, I mean, I've been to almost every show, including the summer shows in Nashville and Indianapolis, and there's one in Austin, I think, thrown in there sometime.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of changes. There's been some ups. There's been some downs. COVID certainly didn't help with things. What different types? I mean, we've touched on a couple of things, but is there some more interest in maybe opening it up to more of the general public, or is it still the idea of keeping it more of an industry-only kind of program?
That is the 123-year-old NAMM question. We were founded in 1901. I've read history minutes of every 123 years. I will tell you, this has come up at so many board meetings over decades and decades and decades. The great Miami show of 1972, that was an all-public show. That was an epic failure. Yeah. Then NAMM went back to never doing public, and then there was rumors that Sunday was all public, and I think there were some attempts during the summer shows. Here's where we are right now. And again, it's not NAMM's decision. Like when I got this job, like, John, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I want to do what the biggest companies in our industry. I mean, you have Guitar Center, you have Sweetwater, you have Thomann, you have Yamaha, you have Fender, you have Roland, et cetera, et cetera. I need to do what they want me to do. Like, they're the industry. I'm the association. So I spent a lot of time talking to all of these companies. The consensus right now from our board and from the biggest companies in our industry is they don't want a massive consumer show. We don't want to be the world's biggest bazaar to show up and just buy products on the floor. Like, that is not, right. It's not the NAMM flea market. Mm-hmm. What we want is high value attendees. At the core, people really, first and foremost, all the survey results, every conversation we've had, people like the manufacturers want to meet with their suppliers. They want to meet with their dealers. They want to have the time. It's not like, hey, come out for a day to the factory and let's have a real intimate time. It's 30-minute touch point with 500 different groups over the course of the 5 days. But it's important they have those touch points. That's the core. But on the edge of that core, those touch points, I feel like some of the glue between the relationships between a supplier, a wholesaler, a retailer, all of them have one thing in mind. It's to basically sell more product. It's to get more music makers out there, to get more gear moving in the hands of good music makers. Right. So they need access to artists, influencers, and educators. and media to tell the story. I mean, without those pieces, those relationships just become rather transactional. Okay, I'll order this many, you send it to so-and-so, this person will whatever. So that's where it gets really exciting. So who we want at the show are high value artists, content creators, influencers, educators, media. So in that sense, like any one of those categories that wants to be at the NAMM Show and can add value to our ecosystem, we absolutely want at the NAMM Show. And we want us to be very clear, like that's the goal. It's not about Dad going to Disneyland and then going to check out some guitars on Sunday. But if Dad plays, if Dad does music at his church on Sunday and like has some key influential networks and, part-time income is in music and really wants to better his career, he should be at the NAMM Show making those connections. I think that's the difference.
Well said. Well said. I think something that we've noticed, especially because we focus on boutique builders and movers and shakers in the guitar world, and I remember seeing like kind of the first Pedal Island kind of pop up, and it was a bit of an anomaly within the great NAMM show. Because it was like, oh wait, these are like the regular guys.
I talked to that
the
one.
Small guys. We interviewed you. And what's come out of that is they did that again, and they did it again, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. And aside from that, just growing, what's really cool from our perspective is that you have all these, builders that live all over the country that wouldn't, under most circumstances, even connect with each other. All in this, show and meeting, maybe even showing at the same, Pedal Island or Guitar Alley or whatever. And these great relationships are getting built. And then from that comes a lot of collaborations, comes more connections to where people are like, oh, you should check out so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so to get, demos, to get on the podcast, or to get a write-up, or, if you need this or that, you should check out this supplier. I mean, so much glue is happening on that floor, outside of a lot of the bigger things that are happening. And that's something that we're very keen on.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about like the boutique folks, because like we love working with Jamie Gale, Boutique Guitar Showcase. He's helped us that for years. We really back to like it definitely is like a line that pops, but I really mean it when I say it's like 81,000 person communities. Like you look at like the boutique guitar, that's a community, and what that community needs is and who they need to be near from just a real estate standpoint on the hall, and then what other connections they need at the show. All that's really important to us. And so, we don't pretend to be experts in everything in this building. So we rely on partners galore to help make that. So we do like to have those luthiers, from that luthier that might make 3 instruments a year to some of these like amazing boutique guitars to, just the pedals. We try to really cultivate them as communities, put them together as communities, place them on the map as communities. We internally have them labeled in our systems as a type of community and what they produce, because we think about their needs differently. And they, and I'm glad you see the glue, because we try to be as intentional as possible about letting the magic in NAMM happen. I mean, in a lot of ways, you go to a NAMM show. I would say you go to a NAMM show with a list of the opportunities you expect to get out of it, and you come home with a list of opportunities you never knew were possible had you not been there.
Absolutely.
Dead on, yeah.
That's the gold.
And what I'm trying to do is, me as far as this whole organization, what we're trying to do is, where can we pour gasoline? When I came in after COVID, it's like, okay, we know something works. We know some things need to shift. First, instead of breaking things in an attempt to fix it, I think I'm using an analogy. Like my dad was always someone that was going to fix everything. We ended up with more spare parts and more broken stuff. But God bless him, we tried.
Yeah.
Like we gotta pour gasoline on what's successful first. How do we know it's successful, right? NAMM for years has been, I ran into so-and-so at the bar, and then he gave me a business card. I texted that person, and the next day I connected with this person who introduced me to this person, and voila, I have a business deal. Like those things happen. How can we help them? Because again, we have technology. We have an app that lets you look up and find people to network with based on different criteria. You know, we can program the education schedule to say, don't put 6 competing sessions at the same time that all appeal to the same community. Spread it out. So each community essentially finds themselves together in various tracks and various networking events, et cetera, et cetera. So we're trying everything we can to like move the herds as close together as possible so they find each other. And like you said, they glue together and magic happens.
I absolutely love the fact that you said pour gasoline on it. And frankly, I'm refreshed to hear your approach to most everything that we've been talking about. It's so needed. And I'm really excited that you are approaching it in this manner. You know, we're just talking about this connections and glue. We have several people that we've interviewed that have since, you know, either been seen, discovered, made connections, and gone on to not only, you know, from their own brand, but got pulled into much bigger scenarios than they might have imagined. And in fact, one of our co-hosts, when we started out the show, Jared Brandon, he owned Brandon Wound Pickups. He went to NAMM and did a big, you know, he says, I'm going to go big. And he went in there, and he's now the you know, pickup product manager at Gibson.
There you go.
I mean, you know, he was a small fry in a very, very big ocean, and now, I mean, he got his dream.
Well,
job.
I wouldn't exactly call him a small fry.
He's like 6'8", 380.
I mean, he's the jumbo fry.
Yeah, he's the jumbo fry. But you know, we see that, and it's really great. And when we interview people coming out of the NAMM show, that's also, you know, they're like, wow, I can't believe I met X, Y, Z and all these people, and I made these connections, and you know, the value's there. But I think part of that is you can't just show up and think it's going to hit you. You do have to do the work, and you have to. It isn't an amusement park, as you were saying. You know, it's you gotta commit and put in some work.
I appreciate you giving that advice for anyone listening. Like, you make the most out of NAMM. You know, one thing, and again, I'm the technology guy. Like, there's technology that now makes it easier to identify where to pour this gas and how to. And so, for example, we opened the NAMM app with the full lineup of sessions, at least all the lineup we knew at the time. That, you know, we obviously things happen more and more as we get close to the show. November 4th, we launched the entire app. That is earlier than we've ever done it in the past. But it's important that we get out early and say, look, you can go register for NAMM. You can have the app. You can start making your plan right now. You can go on the website, see all the sessions. You can see the map of who's going to be there. We're trying to, you know, our response is get out early, give people the tools they can to network. Even little things like when you register, do you want to put your LinkedIn profile? Why? Well, we can actually attach it in the app. You can have a little profile and it links to your LinkedIn. If you don't want to go in another app and say, oh, let me put on the information, but you want people to be able to find you and then connect on LinkedIn, well, we can do that. You know, it's just little things like that. We're always thinking about, again, people are coming to NAMM to connect with each other, to help them to kick off a year of being successful. So we also, we want those 5 days to be like the most impactful, those 3 days on the exhibit floor to just be like absolute energy the whole time. But we also know that like every company comes to NAMM to kick off a year to make your year more successful. Companies come into NAMM in January because they want the whole year to be better. We have to treat NAMM like our companies treat us. So we're producing a show like, how do we help an industry be more successful all year?
Right.
So it's the same thing. So we think about all these little pieces every chance we get. And it's a lot of it's measuring too. You know, people always ask, how big is it going to be as big as 2020? And I know there's a high watermark of attendance. And look, I'll be the first to say, this sounds a little cocky, but I'm a trumpet player. You want 115,000 people at the NAMM Show? I'll get 115,000 people at the NAMM Show. That's no problem. I'll give free passes to everyone. Their brother will bust people in. We can get 115,000 people at a NAMM Show. The question is, what do these communities need to see, and how does it help our companies? How does it help the music industry be stronger?
You're singing the song, man. I love it.
So we don't need that. The number is the number. What's most important to us and what our corporate-wide OKRs, again, buzzwords galore here, but our corporate-wide board-approved objectives are customer satisfaction, that everyone in the industry is here and that they leave and the post-show survey says, my business is better because of my investment in my industry's association. Right. That to us is success. If that's 100,000 people, if that's 70,000 people, so be it.
Yeah. Now, one of the common complaints that we've heard, especially over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, is the lack of big companies participating or displaying.
The biggies, the Marshall, Fender, Gibson, etc.
Is there any way to, entice them to come back or be part, or at least have some presence there?
Well, the good news is I've been talking to them since I started. I've been to Milton Keynes in London. I've met with Marshall. I've met with Orange personally. I've met with Fender multiple times. Fender's back. Marshall's back. Orange is back. Wow. Gibson's there.
Woo! All right.
Everyone. I mean, Taylor, Martin, all of that. We have the whole gamut. I mean, everyone's back this year. Roland's, had a huge three rooms across the third floor. Fender's taken up 4 rooms across the third floor. Roland's on the second floor. We have all the big brands back. And I'll tell you, they're back not because we said, hey, you really need to do the NAMM Show. Like everyone knows the NAMM Show is. We're back because we went out and sat down with them and their leadership and said, what does a global gathering post-pandemic do to help your business succeed? And so we sort of, the changes in the NAMM Show this year have been crafted based on what these companies want.
Wow. Well, you're making an awful lot of guitar people happy right now. I can tell you that much. That's really, really exciting. Well, John, I know that we could probably go on and on here, but we do want to respect your time, and I'm so grateful that we got a chance to talk with you. This has been incredibly enlightening, and I think one of out of this, what you're not going to hear or hope to hear, and probably us either, is like, oh yeah, it's the same old thing. You've addressed just about everything that equals the same old thing. And so I'm very optimistic and excited about what is the new thing. And it sounds like you've gone to great lengths to ensure that is, in fact, something that's going to happen.
That made my day. That's exactly it. I'm a Californian now, so I think of NAMM shows as like wine vintages. Like there is no it's every year it's got to be something different. It's whatever the industry needs, whatever the companies are dealing with. Like every NAMM show can't be the same old. Like I said, every year we're looking at what does the conditions of this year bring to us, and how do we create something that's going to help our industry succeed? And everything plays in. So I'm glad you pick up on that, and that's our commitment. And if 10 years from now anyone's saying, oh, it's the same old thing, that means I've gotten lazy and I need to do something else.
Shake it up.
The Catalina wine mixer.
That's right. The Catalina wine mixer.
Excellent. Well, we got a little something to send you off with here. Tony?
Todd, at this point of the show is a little fun segment we like to call, Oh, Would You Rather?
Okay, I'll plug Jared's thing in there.
The Professor or Gilligan?
This week's Would You Rather is yet another installment from our good friend Bruce Bacon. He likes to call it his Beyond the Grave series.
Okay.
Now, just a reminder, this is how it all transpired. We've had 2 chapters so far. This is chapter 3. The introduction is, Todd was helping me, Tony, move some guitars when the most haunted of axes, the BC Rich Warlock, accidentally fell on his head and knocked him out.
Yes.
Just like in the cartoon with the birdies flying around.
Yes.
When Todd awoke, he felt a little different. Now he has the power to summon the dead through incantation.
Okay.
Chapter
Yes.
3.
Chapter 3.
In this episode of Beyond the Grave, you have the opportunity to talk to a guitar designer for 1 hour. And you can only talk about guitar design,
Yeah.
not, other stuff.
Right.
So would you...
Like how's Walt Disney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's good, except his head's in a freezer somewhere.
Anyways.
Would you rather talk to Bernie Rico of BC Rich fame or Roger Rossmeisel from the golden era of Rickenbacker,
Ooh.
1950s? And he also went on to design guitars for Fender guitar.
Yeah. Well, this should be a very interesting one.
Now you can only talk about
yes.
guitar design.
Yep.
And, there you go.
Okay. Tony, we're going to lead off with you and your response, and then we're going to check in with Rob, then John, and then myself.
Well, if it were me, and I want
It
to
is
talk
you.
about guitar, it is me. How about that?
Yeah.
And you want to talk about guitar design. Bernie had some interesting ideas when it came to guitar design, but in my book, Roger Rossmeisel he came up with, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful instruments for Rickenbacker over the years.
Yes.
And his background was kind of like real archtop guitar design, and he was able to make that happen with essentially what's not an archtop guitar, but still a hollow body. And I just like to pick his brain a little bit.
You're a Rick guy.
Well, I am a Rick guy, but beyond that, if you just look at, just the beauty of the instrument and the construction of the instrument, for late 1950s, it was revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
So, Roger,
Okay.
it is.
Roger it is. Rob?
I abstain.
No, that's not how this works.
Come on.
If you
well,
want,
yeah, you talk
if
about
you
design.
want to get invited back, you better put up.
No, you talk about design, but no Bob Taylor, no John Suhr, no Tom
it's just
Anderson.
it's not an absence of those people. It's just these are the ones that you run into.
Well, I have to go with the guy from Rickenbacker then.
Roger Rossmeisel.
And it's not because of him. It's because Rico did very little to design rich guitars. It was Neil Moser who designed most of those.
Well,
So,
okay.
yeah. So whoever the Rickenbacker guy is, there you go.
Okay. Well, you only like tellies anyway, so it doesn't matter.
True.
John, how about yourself?
As far as a conversation about the history, I definitely am going with Roger Rossmeisel, and I think I'd love to have the conversation of just the history of living in Germany and founding this business and what it was like to get started again in 1946, immigrating. Just the stories about the evolution of product during that time through Rickenbacker and Fender. I'd be fascinated to pick his brain if I could.
And it's interesting. If you know a little bit of history of Roger, his dad was a luthier and guitar maker in Germany, and the brand of guitar was Roger, named after his son Roger. Initially, Roger was supposed to come over and design for Gibson. And he went on some vacation or something out west and fell in love with the West Coast, and that's how he ended up in Santa Ana with Rickenbacker.
And they're still today. I visited them last year. I drove up there. Rickenbacker's the same place in Santa Ana, making guitars in a lot of the same traditional ways. And actually, it's amazing. They're sitting there and they are winding pickups in the same way. That's why the Rickenbackers today still play like they did. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with Roger as well. I'm going to go on record saying I think that the 300 series of the Ricks are...
We would call those Capris.
Okay. They're probably some of the most recognizable guitars in the ever.
There's nothing else like them.
No. I mean, you can see it from a mile away and you know exactly what it is.
Yeah, even the late 50s ones.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yes.
So no love for Bernie.
No. Anyways, thank you, Bruce, for sending that in. We really do appreciate it. We got to thank a few people right now.
That is correct, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer helps make this show possible. How do you become one? Quite easy. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You want to help out? We're going to help you out. But in addition to all that great stuff, there is one thing more. What would that be?
What was that?
I think that was there was a cartoon animal that just walked in here. But in translation, you get to have your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Brett Hogarth, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson.
Oh, John.
Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Sanchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Eric Merrow, Plutone, and we have a new executive producer, Mr. Michael Davenport.
Well, he's not new. It's just there was some kind of hiccup and we couldn't catch his name in there. So say it like 5 times.
Michael Davenport. Michael Davenport. Michael Davenport. Michael Davenport.
There you go.
That was only 4.
Michael, sorry for the absence
mix-up.
of your name. It's all Tony's fault. And
Of course it is. Everything's my fault around here.
we're glad that you're out there supporting our show and supporting the guitar community. It means an awful lot to us.
But Todd,
Yes.
there's more.
Oh.
Because we have a different level of
You
executive
don't
producer.
say.
They're called our Grand Poobahs. Now, these folks are the top of the heap, the A number ones, and just all around nice people.
Yes.
So I'm told.
Yes.
And they wear a fez upon their head whilst listening to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs. Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robinson, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, James Pennington, John Williams, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler K.C. Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wow Pickups, Pedro Vasquez, Gregory Randall, and we have a new Grand Poobah.
Yes.
Am I correct in saying it's a new Grand Poobah?
It is. Break out your pronunciation here.
Mike, I'm going to apologize in advance. Mr. Mike Nazionale.
Yeah. Or as Jay would say, Nazionale.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie.
Yeah.
Mike Nazionale.
Mike, welcome to the madness. We're glad that you are out there, and we hope to hear and learn lots more about you as the time goes on. For now, just keep your rocks that you're about to throw at Tony just at bay. At bay. Give him a pass on that. But thank you so much for joining our little tribe,
Mike,
here.
why don't you send us your 4 on the floor?
We would love that.
Or maybe if you have an idea for a Would You Rather.
Yes. Well, and at some point we'll have his own episode, I hope. So
I would love that.
yes. John, we are going to say thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you had a moderately enjoyable time with us.
We're realistic, you know?
Yeah.
The bar is really high here, guys. I love it. No, this has been great. Y'all have been so much fun.
We made shirts that says John loves us, so I really don't want to have to return those.
I will endorse it. We'll trademark that.
Perfect.
We did spell your name wrong, however.
JAWN. Yep.
And would you mind just one more time reiterating where people can go to check out what's going on with NAMM?
Yes, NAMM.org, NAMM.org. We'd love to have you check us out and come to the NAMM Show in January. Thank you all so much.
Perfect. Tony, where can people find the things that you do?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out the stuff that I do. What do? I make custom pick guards for guitars. How do you get one? You just shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need. I'll have some good ideas for you. I'm for sure it's your opportunity to make your guitar even more yours.
Yes, I like it. And working on that. He's going to have a new website in 2025, I heard.
Really?
Rob, what is your deal?
madcowamplification.com, info@madcowamplification.
What do you do at Mad Cow Amplification, Rob?
I mess with amplification.
Yes.
I
fixes
I
all the
fixes
things.
it and modify it.
Yeah, and the great thing is when you bring something in, you don't even know it's broken. He's going to tell you, hey, by the way, this is broken.
Unfortunately.
Trust me,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's my MO when I break something to Rob. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. We would love to hear from you. Tell us what's up. Tell us what you think of the show. Tell us what you hate about the show. Heck, why not?
Insert Todd.
Yeah. And I do want to say, please go check out on YouTube. We have the podcast video, which isn't really a video, it's just an audio that we've been putting up for ages and ages. But now there's also the new official YouTube podcast stream. I don't know how that it may affect you differently, but now it's officially in the podcast zone, so you can find us in the podcast zone.
What's that? What is that video about, Todd?
It's not a video. It's the same thing. It's just you can either, go through your video part and just you'll figure it out.
No, but there's a new video.
I'm getting to that. I haven't got there yet. Now I'm here, Tony.
Jeez.
So check it out. Go to the actual video part. We have what we think is a pretty fantastic speaker shootout for Vox considerations. And this is Alnico speakers to go into a Vox, specifically the AC30 S1. But even if you're like, well, I don't have an S1, it's still a great way to understand how these speakers sound. And we've got some featured that aren't normally featured out there. Usually it's the go-tos, the blues, the greenbacks, creambacks, stuff like that. And in this case, we don't have any of that.
So,
we've shaken it up.
So should people like this video?
People should like this video and leave us a comment. Hopefully it's a positive comment. We've got some really good ratings on it right now, but
Don't worry, we can delete the negative ones.
We can, but we won't.
So.
We won't.
We'll respond to them.
Yeah, it's a free country. You can say whatever you want on there. But if you could just kind of keep it nice, that'd be cool. So, anyways, thank you so much to John, CEO and president of NAMM, for joining the show, and thank you all for listening. Have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
Blah.
I just want to kind of get warmed up a little bit.
Me.
So yeah.
Me, eat my M&Ms. Unique New York.
Yes.
Red rubber baby buggy bumpers. Red rubber
Human
baby buggy
Torch.
bumpers.
That was terrible. Stop it, Tony.
So it's Mwyn is how you say it. in
Mwyn,
Polish.
like a W.
Mlynczak.
Yeah, the actual character, there's like a Polish character. The L is not,
Yeah, because
When my grandmother came into, Philadelphia, I think in 1949, they just said, "What's your name?" Great, here it is.
too many consonants in a row.
Smith. Excellent. Move on.
Great to be here.
We appreciate all of your patience in scheduling and doing all that. As you can imagine, trying to corral multiple adults at one time is often challenging, especially if they're musicians, right?
Mm-hmm. Try 75,000 of them. Albums, I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
Albums could be really cool.
Yeah, let's do albums. That's great.
Yeah, let's do albums.
Yeah, Tony, what a dumb idea that was.
I prefer donuts.
Donuts.
Are you hungry, Tony? A little snackish?
They're also round.
They're round and they sound good on my record player.
Wow. No, not. Oh yeah, we got to clap and do our other stuff.
I had to clap too. It's my first clap for the day. I'm so happy. Todd's so mean. Why do we do this, Tony? Can we just come in when Todd's not here?
Can.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.